last player remaining. Bloodhound Scan is going to do enough to at least spot him out. Do they get the extra KP? Nah, protection, that's so important for Iron Blood Gaming. Make sure you don't give away that extra KP and an instant way to reset. So now Iron Blood can move comfortably over towards the next zone. We've only got 5 teams who haven't moved into this first circle. This looks like my ranked games.
I was about to say, make what you will of it, but MDY White, they're down on the low ground at the moment, just underneath Overlook. This is where the zone will be pulling, and you can kind of see their game plan for yourself, right? If someone who sneaks past, they're going to get ambushed. Blackhand, the team who come into this with the biggest points total, and that 10-point head start towards match point, already adding a few more here now.
And insane on the receiving end of it as well. Blackhand, so much action that's going on outside of the building, but they are able to just keep their composure, lock things down. Remember, they're one of our Watson teams, even though Watson not as high a pick as the likes of Catalyst, the likes of Bangalore. It has been very important on those teams who have been able to find success, what Watson can achieve.
TSM trying to hold down the Vault Tunnel at the moment, a little bit of pressure coming through, and it's going to be Optic Gaming, the Green Wall, who are stepping towards them. Speaking of walls, there's a cat wall for you. Dropped thinking about peeking, but for now, the 2 cat walls are going to divide the 2 teams for long enough to both to reset. When you're looking across the armor checks and you're looking across the weaponry, we know that TSM left Siphon pretty early. They didn't have the best of armors, and a gold R9 and a gold armor, well, Drop should be in charge here.
And I think World's Edge is going to be a real test for Optic Gaming. They've had a lot of success over on Storm Point, but they just need to be picking up a good average points total. We're just checking in again on MDY White, seeing if anyone's going to be walking into this ambush. As Sweet's just gone down in the kill feed as well. NRG having a scrap.
Well, it looks like TSM are going to retreat from that fight against Optic Gaming, but like you mentioned, TSM have been controlling this position within Overlook for quite some time. Burholt's going to have to be careful here. He takes a huge amount of damage. Excuse me, it's How on that high ground, trying to take it away from FaZe, and Phony will put him on his back. Reps tries to follow up. He's going to fall as well. It's all down to Verholst to keep TSM in this first game. Verholst will get frags, but that's not the end of this fight.
Oh, the grenade ends TSM's first matchup here, but does not end this engagement. Optic Gaming suddenly getting involved. It's Moist who are holding the high ground as well.
Moist actually falling off the back of it, I think, and FaZe might be in this area as well. MT trying to move in, clean up the scraps, couple of thermites, but no skin being singed right now.
Look at the intensity as well from MT in the call-outs, as he knows those incense could have done a lot of damage, but they're also well aware there's maybe too many players, too many teams over towards those silos, and retreating to the donut building is intelligent play right now. So it looks like FaZe get the chance to reset, Optic will back off, everyone says job is done, TSM eliminated, we can start to think about now getting into a more comfortable position for this endgame.
Moist have been controlling Overlook for the majority of this game. It's FaZe who control the backside of those silos, and as we see this zone start to pull, FaZe are going to be in a fantastic position with those silos on their side and the height that they can control to maybe think about at least a top 5 finish. Elsewhere, just outside of Overlook, or just to the north of where we previously were, Start Off Fight Esports, and what a story this is, Dan. The first team from the region to make the grand finals, and they did it pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think at Split 2 playoffs, we're kind of asking that question of what does this region have to offer after not seeing them get into grand finals? What's the future of this region look like? Are we going to get genuine competitors? And we do. Start a Fight demonstrating that they can hang with the biggest and the best teams in the world. Now, Element 6 fan favorites, and of course, have shown what they are made of in every single matchup they played so far. In that elimination game that we saw them yesterday, they were so confident in every engagement that came across them.
And the young man on your screen right now, Tyler FPS.
Wow.
Previous 2 lands, heartbreak for him. Didn't even make it out of groups, and now he's in the grand finals with a chance to win it all. And speaking of stories, my word, the 3 guys on your screen right now, Oxygen Esports. A meteoric rise through the ranks in the Apex Legends Global Series. The only thing that's missing, Dan, maybe a trophy.
They've reached the top 10 76% of the time, have Oxygen on World's Edge. They are one of the better performing World's Edge teams we have in this lobby. and their conversion rate is very successful. As you can see, the Pioneers back up to a full 3. They were down and looked like they were out, but never count the Pioneers out. I tell you that for free.
What a fight this could be. It's Dojo taking on Oxygen. Black Hole going to force enemy to just retreat for a second. It looks like the Dojo might be trying to bait out some of the abilities and survive to fight with just those guns up. Designful did throw his in as well, and look at this fight going down now. This is the one we were watching just a few moments ago. Starter Fight Esports eliminated. Element 6 will win this battle of North Overlook, but can they get the reset?
Reset should be able to come through. You can see Rolling Thunder is coming down and arriving just to try and get any sort of extra damage to allow any teams to push up, but E6, they will hold strong and they're gonna be okay. No one is gonna be pressing up on them. Now, zone-wise, E6 are still going to have to move to the southern side here. This is going back down towards the Vault Tunnel, where TSM were earlier, where Optic Gaming currently hold presence. As for FaZe, they should be okay there where they are. Moist are going to have to move as well. Pulverix, NDY White also going to have to move eventually. But this is great news for all those teams arriving from the southern side, like Oxygen, like Ironblood Gaming. If you can fight your way in, you're going to be in one of the better spots.
Tough thing though for those teams on the west side, it's an uphill battle, right? You're going to have the likes of Optic, FaZe, Moist, MDY White, whoever is on the Overlook side of the map will be able to easily fire down and usually try and work your way up that hill with such little cover. But NRG down to a 1. Nathan on his own, but let's take ourselves back to yesterday. Nathan was a solo and NRG managed to get back into the game late.
And NRG, it's constantly been that question of, are they still a team that can compete for a championship? It was all the talk about TSM versus Sweet. Hal versus Sweet, what can he do as an IGL? And I think yesterday we really saw NRG coming to their own. They look like the NRG of old. If they can match that same kind of pace that we saw in the elimination bracket, there's no reason why NRG can't be up there on match point and competing for this championship.
Well, here's Dreamfire. What a performance it's been from these three young men. Huge support in the crowd as well. Sandwich gets a couple of shots down with that Hemlock. Now we're starting to see the teams be forced together by that zone. Still a lot of teams on the outside of where that zone is going to be closing pretty soon. For now, it looks like Dreamfire trying to kind of pick their targets, trying to work their way in. They will be safe for the next zone, but Element 6 are the team who are holding them for now.
Dreamfire averaging about 7.8 points per game on World's Edge, which is one of the top 3 in the lobby. But they haven't been able to convert it into victories, but that's okay. You can have maps where you're better at scoring points, and then have the maps where you're better at getting wins, because we're going to be changing maps every single 2. You just need to make sure you're getting up there, getting closer to that match point threshold, which, as a reminder, in case you are just tuning in, 50 points is where these teams need to get before they have the opportunity to win this tournament. And they'll need a victory. Now, Ascent suddenly getting forced into an engagement here with Black Hat.
Black Hat have a Prowler, and trust me, they got 3 extremely strong players as well. Ironblood Gaming will be our 15th team to be eliminated, or 5th team I should say. That Prowler's doing damage, but not enough. They're trapped at the moment underneath this building, but the knockdown shield, shield is too much for Ascent to deal with.
Well, Team 1 has been taken out, but surely Team 2 is not going to be able to do it. Into the zone you go, a quick syringe to try and survive.
Has he timed it?
Times it correctly.
Just about manages to stay alive, and Blackhand, unfortunately this time around, the syringe just takes too long to distribute those meds. They will fall here. As we see the zone force these fights. Enter Force 36 now, 43 seconds till they have to leave No Name and move to the east.
What did I just see on my screen, by the way? I feel a little bit sick. Enter Force 36, now they're in the graveyard of death boxes over towards No Name. And a few teams have fallen early here because this is a rough circle to try and rotate into now. You were talking about it, fighting uphill for a lot of these squads. Oxygen are going to be one of these teams who holds the height over the teams that are arriving late. Now, Oxygen, we've mentioned it already in this tournament, the rise from the arena players to now one of the best teams in the world. And they have been one of the best World Edge teams as well. They match the likes of TSM and NRG in victories on this map. And their top 10 percentage is 76%. They find themselves in the top 10, and they're very close to achieving that again here in match number 1.
Well, a lot of congestion starting to happen, as you would imagine at this stage. Dreamfire trying to hold down the zip line from the bottom of the tunnel below them. but they will have to keep moving forward. As you can see in the top left-hand side of your screen, the zone is going to force them to take some of these fights. At the moment, Dreamfire are looking for a third-party opportunity. If they get a little bit of damage down and they see a couple of knocks going down, that will be their trigger to go forward and try and clean up that damage. The Dojo at the moment struggling to stay alive. They are trapped in between so many different squads.
It was a long journey for Dojo, and it could be coming to an end here if they are not careful. Can they make that victory against Alliance worth it? As MDY White are also there, Oxygen getting involved, Dreamfire from a distance.
The zone just a problem there. You can see Enter Force 36 couldn't get through Dreamfire. And Dreamfire survive as we go for the first time in our grand finals into our top 10. 8 squads now remaining as the Dojo will fall.
But Optic now seeing all this from a distance. Remember, they were on the southern side. Oxygen eliminated. Optic still holding strong, still making sure that they dominate and own this area, because if they can continue to hold this southern side on set, they position themselves so well for the final circle.
And Optic have been here almost since day dot on this map. Really have controlled the space so well. They saw an opportunity there to clean out that side of the match, but didn't quite see. There was multiple teams, and certainly Dreamfire, who was still alive as a full 3. And let me tell you, Nathan has the ability for NRG to make this a game to remember.
And whilst Overlooked looked very cozy, very safe at one point, now it looks like an absolute death pit. Because when this circle closes, FaZe, Pulverix, E6 all have to move into Moist Esports who are waiting. And by the way, Optic are not far away on that southern side. Optic can definitely get involved. But Moist are down to just a 2. Waltzy and Fussy hiding away, ratting away together, playing sardines right now.
But FaZe is still alive. FaZe still control this silo area that we talked about right at the start of the game. But now they're going to be forced to make a play. Phonyhead on the horizon does have the ability to jump back up onto the top of the silos in front of him, but maybe he's thinking it's time for some KP. The grab lift will take them up to that height, and FaZe on this next silo will be safe as well.
Yeah, this silo is perfect for them, and they've got eyes on below. It looked like it was a comfortable position to hold, but Saku gets taken down, and now FaZe can just rain down hell from above here.
Pulverix eliminated in the meantime. The black hole might be absolutely golden here from Phonyhead if that Arcstar can connect, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But Snipe Down still on top of that height, and also at a Prowler as now Dreamfire make their move.
Optic versus Dreamfire, a huge fight between two of our giants in this lobby. Dreamfire still a full and healthy 3. No! 1 gets taken down, Roy has fallen, and 3MC, the last remaining player.
Can you do it sandwich for the team? It's Skittle Cakes versus 3MZ. Dreamfire will fall. NRG also fall as well, but force their way into great placement points as a solo. Speaking of which, Fussy now finds himself on his own as FaZe still command the height.
FaZe only had 25% into the top 5 on World's Edge coming into these finals. FaZe still have that opportunity to really put destiny in their own hands, get a victory early on in this tournament to give them that belief. And do you know what they've done very well from this silo? They've not got carried away. When they've had players below them, Black Hole goes down, grenades go down, you could drop knowing you can win that fight. But that is a risk, because then it invites other teams' pressure.
One good thing for them as well is that E6 aren't playing the horizon. So they don't have to worry about a team grav lifting up on them. They can just keep their eyes on them. Make sure that when they move, we're going to be still in position to put some shots down. Phonyhead on the horizon when he drops as well will be so vital to getting that initial damage, hitting the floor quickly with that passive, and being able to be guns up to do the initial damage for FaZe.
So as a 2, Moist can really influence this final circle. And now here comes the call for FaZe.
Here's the play from FaZe. They want to take down E6, and I mentioned that Snipe Down has a Prowler! Huge damage coming out of Eric Rona. He will clean our Element 6. Moist Esports also dispatched with as Optic and FaZe start to move towards each other.
Optic Gaming versus FaZe Clan. This is Esports Org's royalty going up against each other right now. But FaZe, they have to try and reset. Optic are far healthier at the moment, but both Dark Veils are down. 1, 3, 4!
Knocked with the damage, knocked with 2. Optic Gaming surely in this position must be able to win our first game of the Grand Finals. The form team coming into this week in Birmingham just have to deal with one more player. Drop goes in, Drop with the spray, Drop with the win! And the green wall stands tallest in our first game of the Grand Finals.
Such an excellently played final circle from Optic Gaming. From controlling the southern area just by the Vault Tunnel, to then pushing in when they needed to, eliminating Moist when they needed to. As soon as they saw the fight happen between FaZe and E6, they knew that was their opportunity to then take a fight of their own. They would be isolated, they could win, and then they could move on. They didn't take as much damage against Moist as FaZe did against E6, because of course it was a 3 versus 2 on their side. But then in that final circle, things can still get dicey. It is all down to the Catalyst player when those Dark Veils are down, peeking through, having the confidence to take those fights. And the damage output that we saw from Optic Gaming was glorious.
And look at the crowd lighting up green as well for Optic Gaming. I mentioned coming into this tournament, the 3 guys you can see on your screens right now, in Championship whites, by the way, looked like they finally found the formula that made them such a scary team what feels like all those months ago. This is your final zone. This is how Optic took game 1.
And Optic Gaming coming into the finals, they'd only won World's Edge once so far this tournament. It was Storm Point where they've been finding the majority of their victories, and this does bode well going into Match Point to make sure you can confidently play both maps. And we know what a good fighting team Optic are. I mean, Skittlecake, I will always give him his credit for what an impressive and incredible 1vX player he can be. But when you're alongside Noct and Dropped, who also can do exactly the same thing, you have 3 players who are more than happy to take a fight against multiple people.
And I think Noct is the player to focus on in these final moments. We always talk about on the Catalyst, especially in a 3v3 with cat walls down, the responsibility you have on your shoulders to poke through that Dark Veil. That's exactly what he does, and one clips to give them that player advantage. From then, it's a 1v2, and even with the knockdown shield to play around, you just felt like it was never going to fall through the fingers of Optic.
Yeah, and even though in a 2 versus 1 like this, there's always that maybe a little bit of extra pressure on your shoulders of what happens if we throw this one away. But it was great positioning from the green wall to ensure they surrounded that final player and took the right angles. And with that victory, Optic Gaming put themselves already halfway to Match Point.
25 points on the board. A good start to what could be a very good day for Optic fans around the world. Here are your Match 1 results. That 25-point total, absolutely huge. FaZe, though, what a game it was from them. And we're going to talk just for a moment about FaZe and Chanpion. He has the opportunity here in Birmingham to be one of such a select class of players, of controller players who have won World Championships in not just 1 game, but maybe 2.
I mean, if Chanpion were to win the ALGS Championships, he certainly would be up there with the greatest ever controller players across multiple titles. That is without a doubt. But it is a long old journey, but at least FaZe have started that journey here today. If it was a disappointing match number 1, you're kind of left thinking, okay, what do we see from FaZe? Now, for some of our consistent teams throughout the tournament, they had a slightly quieter game. Of course, Blackhand have been incredible at scoring points, our highest points per game across the tournament out of any teams in this lobby. They still picked up 7 despite the placement points that they found. TSM, they got knocked out early when they tried to make their move towards Overlook because they had 3 teams looking at them, for goodness sake.
Alliance probably feeling pretty concerned. Interesting to see how they approach the next game on World's Edge, because that contest against the Dojo, I can't really remember 1 game where it felt like it went well for them. Optic fans feeling pretty good about things, though. There's some stats coming in from the green wall. 13 kills, Dan. 13 kills in the first game of a grand final.
And remember, Optic Gaming started with 7 points coming into this as well. So plus the 25, they're on 32. They are well on their way to that match point threshold. They are so far ahead of the rest of the pack right now. If they have a similar game, even a worse game, but still just somewhat similar, they might find themselves on match point after 2.
We have seen, though, being there early doesn't mean you're going to be able to close out. Usually we have 6, 7, anything up to what feels like 15 teams ending up on match point, and then it's just about who has the iciest of plays in those final moments. Blackhand, second place still just behind them, but that gap's starting to open up even after 1 game. Here is your ALGS MVP vote powered by Monster Energy. If you want to vote now, use those hashtags you can see on your screen to support your favorite player.
Yeah, make sure you get those votes in so that we can crown the right champion in terms of an MVP winner. You can join, maybe they can join the greats, because we have had some of the best players in the world, of course, get that MVP at these tournaments.
Well, that's going to do it all. As you can see, the final hashtags of the players who are going to be nominated for your ALGS MVP. Time for us to jump into a break now here in Birmingham. When we get back, more World's Edge more Apex Legends.
WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Championship Finals. Game 1 in the books. This event is officially a sellout. Thank you guys so much for joining us here in the venue in Birmingham, UK, Results World Arena. I'm Vicky Kitty. I'm joined with Genome. We're joined with this amazing crowd. The fans giving the teams all the energy that they need. And what a way to start our finals day with Optic taking the dub with 13 KP to set us off.
Optic, a little bit of a sleeper pick, it feels like. There's been a lot of attention on some other teams, TSM, NRG with their big win in the elimination bracket as well. But Optic Gaming, honestly, this tournament have never looked anything short of stellar in my eyes. And here in the biggest lobby, they come out with a massive win to start.
And non-stop fighting from the very beginning to Genome. We saw with Alliance surprising Dojo off the rip with a 50-50 in Thermal, where Dojo was able to win, and it looks like we're going right back here.
A little bit of the mind games. It didn't help them out last time. Maybe the straight-up man-to-man fight will.
See how this plays out with Hockey's being the first to go down here. In fact, having to drop down, enemy with the purple Evo. Dojo had that slight health advantage before Designful meets Hockey's on the floor. But he's only got the Havoc and limited ammunition here.
Exactly, no turbo on it either. You know, you gotta wind up, goes in with the slide down. That first spray was pretty good. Now with effect gone. Looks like this one, Dojo could have it again, 2 in a row.
Alliance, they gave up that POI, and now we're getting to see KCP, the other 50-50 that we saw happen between KCP and, I believe it was Realize, and KCP did come out on top of this one, but now with Zane being the last one alive, let's see if that's going to be the same case.
Harvester, it's been such a point of contention for many, many teams here. And once again, we're seeing players fight over this key, central, rotational POI. And Realize, once again, will fall.
All right, we got the same results after what we had seen from game number 1. Sure, you could try this out now when it's early in the lobby. This is match point format. All right, Nasky. All right, Nasky. I got to talk to him a little bit yesterday. He said, it's all about the mind game. Sometimes I'm going to tell all the IGLs something different so that way maybe they think that we're going to go for one thing when in reality we're going for another. And you can see he is exerting that confidence when we take a look at our other teams and where the circle is going to be pulling over to the north side.
So it doesn't quite clip the top of the map. That makes me think it could be going a little more maybe to survey camp, potentially even, it's been a while, but you know, maybe we get an ending down near the train station, down near where Blackhand is, a name that's really been on everyone's lips. And I mean, going into this series, you know, they had so many of the top stats in their favor. You can see Dreamfire now. Also coming down from Countdown. Straight into the vault. Oh, Disruptor rounds picked up. Who knows? Maybe you drop the R99 for an alternator and, well, has the option. Yeah.
Things, a few things before they rotate away. Exiting out of that vault with amazing loot. Taking a look at E6, who had an amazing starting performance in that first game. And we have a lot of E6 fans in the crowd.
The chant goes out.
I love this. I get goosebumps. Being here live, being able to see our players compete in the big stage here, setting the scene with the fans to give them their support. We saw where that circle was pulling over to that north side. It could be pulling a little bit by survey. We have to see. Teams like Blackhand, though, have already gotten ahead of the curve, have already placed themselves on the north side of those tracks instead of the tunnel, so that way in case it does pull over to survey, they have a better rotation, and if it does pull towards Skyhook, they don't have to funnel their way outside of the buildings of survey, where we currently see on the outskirts over by Epi, it's going to be Moist.
Yeah, Moist very often like to set up in the buildings in survey, and obviously with that rotation over from Overlook, usually it's not that hard for them to get a spot, but this is a LAN finals lobby. Everything is harder here.
EMP going out. Having to reset around the other side of the rock, while we also see FaZe already taking control over those buildings, also having an amazing performance in that first game too, getting second place.
It did look like that building on the right, the one to the sort of northeast of Survey Camp, was free, at least from our POV there, but if Moist get they're too beleaguered on the way to there, it would be a huge blow to their chances in this game if they can't make it into this building. I mean, last time they were over at Overlook, they gave up the silos when, you know, you've seen so many times that they've tried to sit in that position and then the zone has pulled away down towards Ghost Town, away from Overlook, and finally, you know, it comes a bit closer to home and they don't manage to capitalize on it.
Yeah, in a very similar case here with that positioning that we saw prior, they are waiting on the outside because FaZe is already taking control over that building. So many other teams too pulverized on the other side like we saw before that EMP rang out. Start a fight. The middle sniper tower here in Skyhook, having the high ground but still rocking. Double blue, one white. NRG on the other hand, double purple, gold in the hands of Sweet, and the nemesis that they were able to craft before they went for their rotation outside of staging.
I'm expecting a few of these early game lulls, Vicky. I mean, you know, we're getting the 2 contests, so that thins out the lobby a little bit just to start with. But it has been another LAN where we've seen a lot of the rotational teams, a lot of the teams who like to play zone, get in there early and find their spots. They've made it through to the finals lobby, so it does mean the end circles tend to be a little more chaotic. The start just takes a little while longer to ramp up.
I love the pacing of that first game. Just start off our finals lobby. High octane action from the start before things slightly slow down. Moist are in a very difficult spot, at least inside the truck. They have the Bangalore smoke, but look at where FaZe is still inside that northern building.
So is the building across there still open? That's my question, right? I mean, sometimes, you know, when you get the observer views, it doesn't bring up all the names, but it really looks like that building is open to me. I'm not sure, you know, Moista realized this, and this is one of the big differences. There's no seer in the meta anymore. You can't just make your way into this caravan, you know, pop the heartbeat sensor and be like, hey guys, the building's clear, let's go take it. You have to actually work that out, and maybe because the door was open there, maybe they saw someone run in and out of it at some point, but it seems like for some reason they're thinking that they can't go into that building right now, and it's so much better of a spot than the caravan they're currently in.
I I mean, with most teams running Catalyst, you would expect maybe a reinforced stores there just to be an indicator to let other teams know that, hey, we've already secured this space. But I like how you bring up the point with the Seer. That's why we've been seeing the substitution for the Bloodhound instead over the course of the tournament. So we see teams like LG use an evac tower to already fly in. It looks like they were actually already engaging on a fight before. I saw Design was low earlier. He went for a reset. They also got a knock here. And talking about the Bloodhound, Nizul being on the Bloodhound as he pops the Beast of the Hunt.
And this is great, it'll give them the information. You can take the gravity lift right up behind the dojo here. You can see Timmy with the full kill there.
Yanya getting the cycle right after he was able to reset just temporarily, but on the high ground, it's not an issue. I have the high ground now with the gravity lift. Yanya sending Dojo back to the lobby in 18th. LG securing some extra points on the board for them.
Yeah, look, as if the 9 points coming into this weren't enough already, but look at that IBG straight back on the other side of them, and they've got them locked into the zone.
Ooh, IBG. Usually rotating through stacks on the other side here. They are backing away. I do like this call. If they were able to get any Evo Shield checks, they could see that they're already at a health disadvantage. So much more fighting now being done in the mouth of Cave, exiting out from the south side of Skyhook. It looks like it was Oxygen and Enter Force 36 who are just playing much more passively, backing away from a fight that had been engaged. Now Pioneers are shooting at them from Countdown. Just 30 shots. Literally make your eyes water. And that's also information for KCP to know that this squad that is flying through with the evac tower have double whites, one blue from ILY, and it looks like they may be opting to go for the crafter if they have some extra time, as KCP may actually be rotating from the north side. No Digi yet in the crafter, you can still find it on the floor, but if the rotation of the replicator does rotate out in the next hour or so, we may be able to see that move its way into this finals lobby.
And with Bangalore being, I believe, the most picked legend out of any legend so far in this tournament, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the pick goes up even more once that rotation happens. But yeah, as you say, at the moment, it is the extended heavy mag and the 2X in there. Now, the zone has actually shifted away from Survey Camp. As you can see, FaZe eventually took that building to the north, and Moist did make their way. I think FaZe were in there initially, actually, but all of these four squads, you know, they're not going to have access to zone knowledge at the moment. Eventually, they're going to probably have to make their way over either to Skyhook, or if it does pull down again, and go towards the train station.
What I think is beautiful about FaZe's position here is, Genome, you called up this building being free. FaZe also doesn't have, obviously, no Seer, no Bloodhound. They didn't have a scan character to get information to see if there's any team in there. Now noting that there is space, they are able to take control over that building, which also has allowed Moist to get a better position inside the building right next to them that FaZe had just equally had been able to take over prior. Ascend, taking the skies with Ruka, still sticking to the Valkyrie with the Skyward Dive, just pinging the truck to see if they could take control over this, and it is free for right now, but playing on the outskirts, this is also a gamble for them to hold, seeing that they already have the circle information for where it's going to be pulling.
They do, with the crypto. Does that reach to the ring console that's all the way over to in Skyhook West there? Very possibly. The other thing though is they have the Watson, and in my opinion, in those caravans, they are so much more playable if you've got the Watson. I mean, it's a little bit of a death trap sometimes, but if you put the pylon down, all of a sudden the grenades that just flush you out like a pack of rats, it stops all of that. It's just so much stronger.
I mean, it works when you're in the late game and Reps is out here with the Fusey and trying to cycle you out, but I love how you noted the Watson. That's how they were able to get the scan on that beacon originally, since they were able to rotate around there and be able to secure that building while also using the crypto drone to, if they do have a survey beacon, get information on where the other teams are in the area.
There's only a couple of teams playing Watson at this tournament, but it's actually the highest win rate or the highest average placement pick out of any legend so far, because the couple of teams that have been playing it, Blackhand, Ascend, have been doing so fantastically. And I mean, we talk about them, they're two that have read this circle correctly. Look at this Blackhand with a tunnel position, which will be really great until late game, and Ascend sitting there in the caravan.
I've seen the circle a few times, Genome, and I like how you made the mention about the Watson too, because that was also a swap where we saw from NRG in yesterday's lobby, where they were able to secure Nathan being on that Watson and then being able to play for more late game.
Big change.
But they did not just get late game and get the placement points, they also got the KP to add on top of it. TSM, we talked about the fuse pick. We saw where they're located right now on that slight lip of a high ground exiting out of Epi. They're not in that next circle, but just waiting to play by the edge where they may actually meet up with Moist, who actually gave up the building in Survey Camp after seeing that the circle has already shifted away. A lot of the teams in Survey that didn't get to predict where that circle was moving from one side of that mountain to another have now had to funnel out, and they may actually put into the line of sight of Black Hand. We also tune into Oxygen, who have not left from this spot, been kind of playing by the mouth of this tunnel. And there's 4 teams in this area between Oxygen, LG, who's about to get sandwiched by IBG, and Dreamfire, who are gonna circle keep these teams.
Yeah, so by the blue color you can see on that utility, that is of course LG's catwall, so they've had to use that a little bit reactively there with IBG coming in behind them. In the meantime, Oxygen have used that evac tower to get out ahead, and now LG are in a fantastic position. They were, you know, a little bit worried a second ago, but now you can see it's IBG full sending them.
Oh, Ziki moving in, but he gets beamed. They're trying to fight their way from inside the circle. Huge crash coming in as he sends out the Arc Star 2. They get the trade as Ziki's able to find Hotwadis. Asia goes down right afterwards, and Moist Esports and Defeat do get eliminated. They were fighting Oxygen before, and IBG is going to be meeting them right back in the lobby. But this is the fight that we were mentioning, as Oxygen had flew over them prior. They were in some trouble. MDY White also cannot get to safety. Dreamfire are able to circle keep the teams that are funneling out from all the chaos that was happening by that southern Bolt side.
Oh my god, so much KP going the way of Dreamfire. The fans loving it. Second place, up to 20 points already. And that's not it. I don't know if they're done just yet, because Optic Gaming are now on the other side of them here.
They were waiting patiently, try to engage, but it may actually end up biting them right back, because Optic now having to rotate away as we see the teams that are sharing the building over by Skyhook East. It's Enterforce 36 and E6. TSM fighting on the rooftop of Survey. Look how many teams already cycled out of here because they wanted to get involved in the chaos. They heard the fighting happening here before, and Pulverex are running away as a solo.
TSM all the way on the side here, but it looks like Optic, I think, might have actually fallen to Dreamfire, at least a couple of the members. So Dreamfire, yeah, you can see 2 extra KP picked up there. Amazing work from these guys, just continuing to romp forward. As we saw over in Skyhook, there's a lot of teams clustered in one building. I believe it was KCP, Element 6 and E36 all in the same one. They'll be fine for one more circle, and Dreamfire, I think they're just going to keep roaming and keep, you know, letting blood, essentially, with Oxygen right ahead of them.
Yeah, keep playing outside the circle. They are going to have to be moving now. The circle is closing in right behind them. They couldn't find the ret that was Optic Gaming. As they move forward, they note that Oxygen is also not a full squad. I believe it's just a duel left for this team if they weren't able to reset an NRG. Hugging the mouth of this tunnel. Setting up catwall for catwall on the other side. This may be shared with TSM looking to engage, exiting out of Survey. Hal gets taken out by Nathan, who has been going crazy in these lobbies so far, leading the overall kill leader in the overall days that we've had leading up to this final day.
The catwall's not enough to save TSM. I mean, they just get sandwiched here. Blackhand on the top, the Pulverex rat actually coming in from the back. Don't know how long F-Chan's going to be able to stay alive. Does actually get involved, but unfortunately gets caught in the crossfire. Now it really comes down to Blackhand and NRG.
Wanted to steal that one real quick. More for F-Chan though, and Blackhand engaging on this fight versus NRG, who were able to reset rather quickly. Sweet hasn't popped the shields up just yet because they got the crack over Blackhand. And it looks like squad after squad, they fall as Nathan going crazy with the flat line, being the kill leader now in this one game alone. TSM, Blackhand, fall at the hands of NRG.
It's a massive fight to win there in the tunnel. But as we look towards the circle, it's Dreamfire who struggles. You can see they've made it up to the top here. At this point in the game, usually it's an okay spot to play. I wonder what's been, you know, really giving them trouble here. Was it the fuse? Is someone just locking them down with knuckle clusters?
Oxygen. They were able to rotate here as a duo. Now one alive underneath Dreamfire, who are also in trouble. Ascend have not moved from the truck that they positioned themselves from the very beginning when we saw them make that call. A team that is always so consistent in calling out these end circles and putting themselves in the best spot. Enter Force 36, though, will have to move shortly. As you can see, the circle will be pulling to their nose, and they're already engaging in the feed. A fight with Energy actually shooting Dreamfire and Oxygen in the distance.
Okay, circle closing in now, 40 seconds left. All three teams in this building need to work their way out. What is the exit strategy? How do they make their way up? They've got a bit of a cliff ahead of them. It looks like we actually did get the reset there by Dreamfire, so patience pays off for them, but now NRG right on top of them doesn't work out.
That was getting ahead of themselves real quick. Open up the Red Sea as the double catwalk comes in. Enter Force 36, playing for their lives with only Blue Evil Shields playing on the edge. KCP is over to their right, and Dreamfire are still fighting for their lives on this sniper tower. The 1-2, Scooby-Doo, and the Bangalore, Cold Steel. You could call her cold-blooded. Now she's gonna be able to reset on the high ground through MZ. Enter Force 36, aimbot goes down. And they meet themselves in 6th place in this lobby. KCP still fighting for their lives. Can they get the reset? If they can get this res, Nasky, you can hear the comms, you can see him in the camera. He was feeling himself before. A little mini pop-off when we saw them win the 50-50 earlier on in this game like we saw in the last game. Now, meanwhile, look at all this chaos playing out underneath their feet.
He doesn't even look stressed, honestly. At this point, Nasky is actually looking fresh. He's looking happy with their position. And as you said, you know, they've walked into each game with a straight up 3 KP. No problems. Dreamfire get the reset again. Are you kidding me? Doesn't matter what you throw at them up on the tower here. They just keep coming back from the dead.
Literally zombies right here. They just do not stop. Does a little shimmy shade in the air before tap strafing behind some cover, and the EMP now coming in from Kashero.
Yeah, the problem is, though, they are right on the edge of the circle. They will have to drop down immediately. You can see they waste no time doing that and try and use some smoke to cover, but Ascend have them on lock.
Ascend trying to ride the momentum. Gets the crack originally before, but misses some of those flatline shots, having to back away as post skill was incredibly low. Doesn't want to overextend when they're low too, but gets the crack. Here comes the follow-up from him, and having to look to their backs. E6 get eliminated, but at what cost? Sets up the butts of pallet fences, and Dreamfire, after resetting, not once, not twice, not even 3 times, are going to be able to move in to try to take this game against Ascend.
Yeah, that was start a fight to Ascend, actually. Off the back of that, they're going to be a duo, and I don't think there's any way that they can come out on top. Your Chinese team, Dreamfire, moving up into 1st place already. Can they get the win to cap it off?
He's got the Prowler, he's got the high ground, and Dreamfire are your game 2 winners. The crowd goes crazy. The shines of red lighting up the crowd.
There he is on the desk, the IGL. One of the hardest players to kill in this entire lobby. Has a KD of 1.91 working into this. You need to throw 2 pro players, 2 of the best players in the world at this man every game to even take him down.
Look at the pop-off.
Look at the pants.
He's rocking some style.
They're waiting for the checkered flag already, Vicky.
They got the memo to come here looking snazzy for finals day.
Damn.
But can we talk about what an intense game that was for them? By the way, they must have profited off of like over 15 KP. They were fighting team after team that was fighting for that high ground spot. We saw Energy make their way over there. We saw Oxygen playing for their lives on the low ground. 50 KP with 4.5k damage on top of the dub. Are you kidding me?
7 for their Horizon player, Peter there. 5 for Royi, the man who has been trying to hold them up at land for the longest time. And there he is, the one who's finally getting a bit more of the limelight here at the championship, Vicky. It's 3MZ.
Gino, let's also not forget that they started off the day with 8 points. They advanced match starting points, and now they've secured double-digit KP. They got 1st place. They were able to hold this final position in this final circle as we take a look.
Okay, so this is where they knew they were going to have to get off. All right, so they start shuffling the teams around them. The Bangalore ult goes down first just to make sure this team cannot hold the high ground in front of them. As you can see, it's already worked in securing this position on the low ground.
And even without the Digi here for Rory, able to take the gravity lift, already taking care of so many teams, feeling that momentum, and also able to time this fight. After we saw Ascend take care of E6 at the very end, Startify had taken that fight also earlier on. After KCP get eliminated, they couldn't get the full reset, so Dreamfire were able to sandwich around Ascend in this final circle from one angle to another, and it's the split position that they were able to hug shoulder to shoulder that also allowed them to not overextend too. Gets to the high ground, prioritize their positioning to have that slight advantage, and come on, yeah, Pita with the Prowler in his hand, you know the damage is going to be laid down.
Yeah, it was really once their Bang ult went down, the rest of the lobby was kind of forced into a corner, and from there, you know, Ascend were forced to start a fight in front of them. They were all, you know, just pushed all the way to the opposite side of the circle. It made it so easy for Dreamfire at that point to come out with not only the 12 points for winning the game, but the 15 kills on top of it. I mean, they already had a good amount to start with, Vicky. This means Dreamfire are already on game 2, edging close to match points.
After just 2 games alone? Are you kidding me? In a lobby like this, Genome? That's crazy. This probably sets them up for like, what, 43 points in total if we combine what they got for KP, 15 kills as you see on your screens, the dub on top of that. Again, the match points that they already started with being 8 points going into this day. This is the best position you could be if you are Dreamfire and you're as consistent as they are when it comes to taking games.
So unreal. I mean, Dreamfire have done it before, right? We've seen them take out big titles in APAC South, but when it comes to the LAN, you know, they have had to play with those subs in previous ones. We saw a lot of the players coming over, Bolin, you know, Jackie QQ, you know, really helping them out in times of need. But now that they've finally got everyone together and they've also got that synergy coming back in, not only because they've been playing together for such a long time, but finally at LAN as well, you know, they've shown up. They've shown up like they've never shown up before, and I honestly think the fans and the people from our region who've been watching them for the longest time have believed in them. So it's so fantastic to see that they're now believing in themselves.
It's lovely. It's lovely talking about how that also allows them to get into this more confident mindset. We talk about these individual players and what they provide to these teams and to the community in general. Well, guys, exiting out of game 2 and talking about something that we've been talking about for months now, I'm so happy to announce our Positive Player Award. We have the results. Let's throw it to it.
Who's excited?
Ready and excited. Oh, it's showtime.
Let's cause a kerfuffle, shall we? No one gets left behind.
Nice, good stuff, boys.
Nice.
Red, 3.
One dead.
Nice.
Nice.
Good job on that team.
GG's, that was a banger game.
Not bad shooting, you know.
Let's go. We're a team. We look out for each other. Guess we don't make such a bad team after all.
Well, on behalf of everyone in the Apex Legends community, thank you for everything you do to make it a positive place to play. You are the winner of EA's Positive Player Award. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I feel honored to have been given this award. I really appreciate that you guys see me as a positive player.
What do you want to say to players everywhere about staying positive?
Respect your teammates. Don't trash talk if you don't have to. Try and stay positive. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say it.
Thank you again, and we'll see you in ALGS Year 4.
Thank you, guys.
Oh my god!
Nice, good stuff. Let's get it, baby.
Congratulations to Biggie Verhulst getting the Positive Player Award, a staple in the competitive Apex Legends community. He deserves this. He is one of the most wholesome people I have been able to meet in this community, and he brings that out in his own gameplay, in his own team play. And I feel like he's such a big influence when it comes to seeing the young crowd that wants to get involved in Apex, what they should do, and who they should look up to when it comes to being a positive player themselves in-game.
And if you've seen some of the content that TSM has actually put out around Verhulst, I think you'll understand why as well, Vicky, because he's the kind of guy who's striving to always be, a better person, not just a better player. And I'm so happy, that he grabbed that, because he really does exemplify that in the Apex Legends esports community. All right, now we've got to wrap the over to the map rotation, and guess what? We're heading over to Stormpoint. Well, we will be rotating through the maps every 2 games here in our Matchpoint finals, Vicky.
Yeah, that's the difference here for Finals Day. Here in Matchpoint format isn't the only thing you have to keep in mind. It's the fact that we will be rotating through each World's Edge and Stormpoint maps every 2 games. World's Edge, we saw Optic take up game number 1. We saw Dreamfire have an insane game for game number 2. Now for Stormpoint, game 3, we get to see these teams that have more of that consistency, their team composition that works better into their gameplay as we move over to Stormpoint.
So what's going to change over here at Stormpoint? Well, the legend picks, for one, will be changing a little bit. I mean, you tend to see more Bangalore over on Stormpoint. We saw a couple of Fuse picks. I think there were 2 or 3 in the last lobby over in World's Edge. That doesn't necessarily make its way over. It'll be interesting to see TSM. Do they opt to go for that? No, they're going Bangcat Horizon. I think Element 6 was the other team who was picking up the Fuse, and they seem to also have opted away from that for Stormpoint.
Also looks the same for NRG. I saw Nathan being on that Bangalore in our beautiful screens here in the arena. All right, guys, let's not waste any more time. Match number 3, our first match onto Stormpoint for our finals day. Let's get started. All right, with a new map now, Gino, we also are going to be having different POIs, different 50-50s. And if I'm not incorrect here, we may be seeing a 50-50 with KCP and Dreamfire by the mill. That is to say, if things don't swap up like we saw off the rip in game number 1 on World's Edge between Alliance and Dojo.
Oof. Okay, we've even got Blackhand have changed up from what we thought they might be going for, not going for the contest immediately, but as you say, we're definitely having one over at the mill. Stormpoint, World's Edge, doesn't matter. These 2 teams are going to be going up against each other all day long.
I like the swap up from Blackhand too. We also had noted, behind the scenes, they were trying to fight for a POI originally, but here's that 50-50 off the rip to get those bins with the better armor.
Exactly. You see Dreamfire landing on the better side. They pick up the purples. That's a big advantage. Not only that, we do see the knocks.
Are they going to be able to get a full reset here? They're just trying to get into position. Coming in from the skies on the gravity lift, but also has a knockdown right in front of him to play off of from a slight lip.
But Optic are here! They didn't land it down base. Optic, the rogue element, have come in to immediately third-party this, and I'm not sure either team expected it.
I'm sure their invite to the party was lost in the mail somehow, but don't worry, they will not miss it for the world. Skidokay getting involved here too. He's got the Devo in his hand, and you could already see Zane running away, understanding, all right, this is not what we were expecting here. We're just gonna have to go for a reset, cut our losses, but the same thing could be said about Dreamfire. I believe we saw Rory up in the distance here that maybe was able to get away, but that's gonna be so important because that's something to note going into game number 2, going into the second game on Stormpoint for Optic Gaming to take advantage of. It's all about the mind games before you dive into the lobby.
Well, Pioneers lost 1. It looks like Dreamfire lost 2, so they actually come out worse off, even though right to start with they were doing better in the contest. Dojo and TSM have already run into each other at wall.
Dojo had gotten the advantage off the rip already. They had taken one out from TSM. Now they take Verhulst next. There's only 1 left from TSM. But Dojo taking this fight over by Wall and eliminating TSM as the first team to go in the lobby before Dreamfire gets found out too.
The rest of the lobby breathed a sigh of relief there, Vicky. Dreamfire were on 43 points. It wasn't a big stretch that they would get to match point after our first game on Storm Point here, so maybe that was one of the reasons why Optic decided to drop on them.
That is probably exactly the reason, because think about it, if Dreamfire does come out on top from that 50-50, that's even more points going in their favor if they eliminate KCP from this lobby. So good game plan here by Optic Gaming. KCP is still alive for right now, and this may be where the circle is going to be pulling us towards Launchpad.
100%. I am reading this as a Launchpad circle. As you can see here, circle's touching, very much expecting it to keep pulling towards Launchpad, and at that point, FaZe, who land there, they agree with this, right? They do have the ring console, they got that information, looted up very quickly, and then they took up the position on the catwalk. That is exactly where you want to be. It's a very hard, place to siege. The only problem is you need to eventually, go on a little hunter-gatherer party and find some loot, because you're sitting up there, you do want to do some damage, and it's not the safest spot necessarily. You can take, there's quite a few angles that people will get on you. So you want to stay up there for quite a while, but it'll be interesting to see if anyone, maybe pops an evac tower and lands on and tries to take out FaZe that way.
At least for FaZe's point and their team composition, like most of the teams that we've seen thus far in this lobby, they are running the Horizon, Catalyst, and Bangalore, so they will be able to at least reinforce the door up above on the high ground here and also overlook some of the action happening here. Or it could be a team that could land on them, but it could be incredibly risky with how many squads have already infiltrated Launchpad, such as Start a Fight Esports, playing off this low ground and playing to the strength of their own team comp. One of the teams running the Watson.
Okay, other teams flying in now. A lot of congestion happening around Launchpad. A couple of teams, Optic Gaming actually, they all went back to loot down Beast, by the way, after messing up everyone over at the mill. So they're probably going to be late to the party, but as you can see, NRG are trying to work out what the best spot for them to play at Launchpad is.
Oh, it looks like the res had come out from KCP, and IBG says, all right, 3 points coming in from the sky. We'll absolutely take those, and now they're going to be able to rotate away after finding Serdell. Unfortunately, now KCP, at least still alive, trying to run as a solo once again through Cenote Caves, while IBG have the Beast of the Hunt activated. Looks right through the smoke. Naski is the next to go out. Literally had gotten respawned and then try to rotate as quickly as possible, but this just benefits IBG in this case, considering that they land to the northeast side of the armory, where close to that Moby respawn is, close to that north side of Cenote Cave.
Obviously, Zane, no chance to go back and get those banners, at least I don't think so. No support characters, you're seeing very, very few of those. MDY White, I believe, are the only team in the lobby right now that if they didn't collect the banners would be able to go and craft. And the only support character we are seeing in this final lobbies is the Gibraltar for LD.
It's always so interesting to see the different comps come out and how it could also influence match point, because that's something other teams can note if teams like MDY White end up coming out top. But look at this position that we're seeing right here. All right, Black Hand.
Yep, Black Hand, they're running it out, hoping that someone's going to rotate through and think about Jurassic Park as one of the entryways, but I can tell you at the moment, they're going to be waiting a while. There's not really anyone near them. NForce 36, Optic, Dojo, and IBG all just actually getting into the circle right now, so they're probably more likely to fight with each other before they are to get through Black Hand.
GT Apex Legends, who are just going to roll out with the Trident so that way they can get into safety of where that circle is going to be pulling eventually. Ooh, there's going to be some information that Optic could profit off of, though, at least. NForce 36 with the Bloodhound are going to be able to scan that survey beacon to see where the teams are located in the map overall. They'll also have information that all the teams have already congested up all the way by Launchpad, so depending on how they want to take that rotate, they could go through the north side, maybe try to rotate around and approach from the north side of the high ground into Launchpad if they want to wrap around, maybe take a little bit of circle damage, or let Optic Gaming know that we are here, we have the high ground, so forcing them to maybe rotate all the way around, as you can see right here in the map.
Alliance just coming in from the north side right now. Looks like they'll actually be able to sneak in around the edge of the circle. Maybe even get one of those back buildings. Or one of the ones just above.
Oh, Ascend gets taken out by Pulverex's hands. Taking this fight on that slight low ground in that no-name spot. When it comes to the circle where it pulls over to the west side, there's usually a survey beacon up to their north where they can scan to see how many teams are in this area right now. But Pulverex aren't, they could do it with the crypto, but aren't around all those teams, so they could take that fight safely for right now. They could reset. We try to see how they want to approach here, seeing all the fighting that's already been going down in Launchpad. And more teams are also taking their time to rotate into that next circle, such as Optic Gaming, like we've seen take their time to loot over by Down Beast, then go all the way down south from Checkpoint, as well as enter Force 36 and Blackhand.
Alliance. No points as of yet, obviously coming through from the elimination bracket. They don't start with any. And after losing 2 contests to the Dojo, they haven't gained any either. So really on Storm Point here, where they do get their Lightning Rod all to themselves. They know how to play this spot very well, just as they do Thermal, not that they've had a chance to do it yet. So really, I think Storm Point is where Alliance have to succeed today.
We also saw in the feed, LG Chivas unfortunately go out at the hands of Moist that have been able to take that northern building by Launchpad closer to the edge of the circle where Alliance may want to rotate unless they decide to wrap around the rock closer to the Prowler's Den. As they are going to be able to approach here, though, it's going to slow down significantly with our teams that have already found that real estate in the safety inside of that circle.
Yeah, okay, so Dojo all the way up at Command Center right now. Hopefully they've got an evac in the pocket somewhere. You can see Timmy has the respawn beacon in his pack, but this is a fantastic spot to use that evacuation tower, that survival item, because you get extra height and you can rotate extremely far from this spot.
It's a good point, especially when you call in that evac tower. See if they can do that here.
There you go,
Yeah.
enemy's got it.
All right, they're gonna be able to cross a lot of distance with this move. As they should. I mean, they are healing outside that circle for right now, as it is closing in right behind them, and Blackhand.
Yeah, so Blackhand's given up the riding spot over at Jurassic. Still looking to play edge, though. You can see they're not really heading towards the circle to try and find a spot at all. They know pretty much everything's going to be taken at this point. They need another game plan, and looking for a fight. Well, that's what they're going for. Evacuation tower has just been dropped for the Dojo, and here we go. We get to see where they head out towards. They're actually going to go directly over the top of Blackhand, so Blackhand definitely have this information. You can see them just below there.
I'm just a little worried here. Taking this evac tower, letting other teams below you know where you may be landing. We just tuned into Alliance. They're waiting for Dojo. Let's tune into a listen in with Alliance to see what they're going to do after seeing Dojo fly right through the rock side presented by WD Black.
I have hammer. Someone else landed. On me. Yeah, on me, whooping.
Okay.
I'm shooting. Come back. I'm trying to, bro.
I'm getting goggles. Come back to us. I'm getting goggles from left.
I'm trying to, bro. I'm jumping over the wall. Okay, here.
Play outside, pinch him. Play Yuki side, pinch him. Try and ping.
I got stunned, I'm biting.
Just play slow and pinch him. Yeah, we're pinching him right now. Play towards Yuki. Play towards me, yeah. Put our backs against the wall, guys. Come. Yes, put our backs towards the wall and pinch them. I can't see anything. I'm in a 6 spot. You good? Just hold. I don't see them. They'll be behind us for now. They'll be behind us. Go into this wall, goes down. Another team flying, I think. Yeah, another team flying. Back up. Don't let them be on us. Get them behind us. Yeah. Get them.
They're flying down.
Nice. Yeah, they're fine. Watch that. Okay. Stay backs against the wall, boys. Yes, we're a little bit pinched, so we gotta like pinch this team in front of us too.
They're flow away. No, nobody behind us.
Okay. They're low ground on the other side.
I'm just shooting this side, okay?
On the bins. They're moving up. Look at the fight. They're backing up on 50 on 80 on one. 18 red. 40 on another.
I'm coming. I'm fire. Wait for me.
Crack one. Nice. I'm taking far right angle again. Almost got two. Taking far right angle again.
Please stop.
Yes, I'm playing super slow. They're getting pinched. They get shot back. They're dying. Yeah, they're dying.
Ping. Where are they?
Over here. In smokes. On my ping. They're in smokes.
Hostile over there.
We have a zone here, boys. Don't worry. I'm watching behind us.
Lovely comms here from Alliance. I also love the split attention here as they hold different positions. Meanwhile, in the feed, Moist have just been non-stop at contesting each and every one of the teams to try to fight for this building. It looks like Black Hand, unfortunately, were the victims. On the other side, you can see the dead boxes at the feet of NT, but I love hearing those come from Alliance after we saw two teams take two different evac towers flying over their heads, which was Black Hand at that point and Dojo.
Yes, the Black Hand plan eventually doesn't pan out, as we saw there. Moist taking one of the really good spots in Launchpad until you can tell, really where that 4th or 5th circle is going. That will always change up the game plan. But yeah, the building, the catwalk that FaZe are on NRG, we saw in the sewers underneath, another fantastic spot. You've also got Starter Fight and Element 6 hanging around, and then we go further afield and we've got IBG and Pulverex. So Pulverex directly on top of IBG right now. These guys are actually going to have fairly good access to the circle because it's gone quite central. It's going to be to the left of the fingers of Launchpad, and therefore teams who have set up over here where Moist are at Launchpad, but also where Pulverex and IBG were, they're probably going to meet in the middle.
Optic Gaming made a great call out on where this circle was going to be pulling by the high ground rocks, exiting out of those 3 fingers like you were saying before, Genome. We also saw in the feed Zane go down, being the last solo of KCP from the very beginning. Very rough game, unfortunately, for KCP, and Pulverex are going to meet them back in the lobby as IVG. You said it, they were going to eventually fight to go into this next circle, but Enter Force 36, hearing the fighting, looking to get engaged.
Oh my.
Evac Tower was called in too by IVG.
Look how stacked up Optic are! All 3 of them in that. I'm surprised they're not kind of clipping outside each other at the moment. This is a single name could spell
I was
disaster
gonna say,
for Optic.
it'd be a shame if an Arcstar just made an Optic Gaming shish kebab. IBG getting involved in this fight. Again, this is Enter Force 36 that rotated onto IBG, and Ziki, usually always the player to get that first knock. Insane when it comes to that fight potential that we see from this team. But Asia goes down, the Digi threat in his hands, and this is just easy to profit, but the third party has been called in for Realize.
Oh man, Realize come in, and IBG, they would have been, really feeling themselves after winning 2 fights in a row, but sometimes in Apex, that's just not enough. So the third party from Realize, they'll take over that position now.
Oh, Timmy. Still alive with Design on the other side of the catwall. Alliance trying to profit. Aki's got the Prowler in his hand. Sends out another smoke, sees the gravity lift. Yuki gets Design knocked. It's only up to Timmy to get away if he can. Dojo. Maybe needs to be sent back to the dojo as they get eliminated. 11 squads left now in this lobby.
Yeah, look, you can see Alliance, they're really holding on to that tunnel. That's important for them, but wow, NRG have a team right on top of their heads right now. That's Element 6 sliding in on the top of the rock. The wall bounce hit!
Oh, the wall bounce just to top it off. Nathan, though, with the Nemesis in his hand, he's still alive. He can't get the reset. They find him out. Optic Gaming, they were lying in wait for too long, get a little anxious, see the opportunity and try to capitalize.
Yeah, I think they're going to do that as well with the one member of Oxygen that's trying to get away from them. Desperately coming out, they do manage to finish that one off. It's knocked.
Although Optic are in that next circle where no other team is so far, it's a very open circle aside from the rocks. You have to be careful there because you can get pinched from so many different angles, especially since Realize is still on the northwest side. FaZe looking to clean up some heads themselves after all the action that was happening all over by Launchpad, now taking care of Alliance.
Alliance, so they did manage to make their way through the tunnel, but then they run into FaZe. FaZe calmly making their way from the catwalk through to the fingers and using just the inside, the bins there as a little bit of cover. They run and they win a clean fight there against Alliance. Now we've got 3 teams left alive. This is going to be a fun end circle. Optic Gaming, they're the ones actually within it right now. It will pull towards the south. This actually could be quite an early finish to the game, relatively, considering we haven't even finished Zone 5 yet.
Just for right now, I do expect Realize to take their time to rotate in since they're also on the other side in their approach into that next circle, as well as FaZe. Matching that with one another, you see the 30-30 shots also ringing as FaZe just waiting to see where Optic Gaming is on the other side of the rock. They've already called them out. Also, Phony has the Prowler himself, so FaZe are rocking such great loot aside from the triple red Evos at this late part of the game. Aside from Optic, who've taken their time and they still have the 2 purples.
Optic are currently on 49 points, by the way. One more will move them as the first team onto match point. A single KP does secure them.
Wow.
Next game, Optic will be the only team with a chance to win.
Already? After game 3, Optic Gaming looking to take the dub. We got the ulti with the disruptor rounds, dropped on the other side with the Digi Threat 2. They took down one member of Realize. Looks like they were also able to get the finisher onto Oobli. The catwall has gone down, so each 3 team had already used the catwall with the circle closing in. It's now the fight for second place for Realize against FaZe.
Oh, is a black hole enough to bring this back as a duo? Maybe. It's a very good ultimate. They get sucked in straight into it. But Optic, on the back of it, 50 points isn't enough for them. They will secure the dub. The bracelets in the crowd light up green, and with 12 kills, it's a 24-point game for Optic.
Man, that end circle, Optic Gaming versus FaZe again! After we had seen a similar case scenario in game number 1, Optic with 2 dubs already after game number 3. I mean, it's not a speed run. Did they get the memo? It's not a speed run thus far, right?
I'm feeling a little bit Swedish right now. Vicky, you know why? Because this feels like the Optic that we saw turn up in Sweden. A lot of people said that they were the best team at that tournament. They didn't quite walk away with the victory, but damn if they weren't impressive. And this is that kind of locked in, dominating, just absolutely destroying the rest of the lobby Optic that we saw all that time ago.
Seeing signs of life from this team with such talented individuals. When I think about an insane fragger, a player that has always come to mind has always been Skittlecakes out here. They're gonna be able to walk away, take a little bit of a break for right now. They took game number 1 once again with 13 KP. After that, game 3, I believe that was like a 12 KP. So even holding that final circle position, being as patient as they were, they still were able to get a lot of kills at the same time, involving themselves at the perfect time in the very beginning of the game and around the end of the game, which is incredibly important. We saw what they did. Instead of landing in down beast, landing to 50-50 weather. I mean, you split that up a 3-way out here, over by Mill against Dreamfire and KCP.
But that's insane to think about, isn't it? I mean, they completely eschew their own drop spot. They take on another team, knock out the only other team that could have made their way onto match point, and still come out on top and give themselves the best chance in the next game. That is a phenomenal play there by Optic.
Also avoiding a lot of the chaos that came from the north side of where that circle was pulling. Beautiful calls from Optic Gaming. They're already sitting here at match point. Can it be done in 4 games? We're gonna have to see if that consistency stays alive. Again, they've won 2 games. All right, after all that action, I'm done, I'm dusted already, Gino. We gotta take a little bit of a break. All right, Des, break it down. Tell us how you thought about the action.
Well, if you can't see the vision of how this tournament's going down, you might need to change your optics. Optic Gaming on match point after 3, and it has really shifted things. The pace has increased as we expected on a match point final, and so get ready. It could end at any moment. Rain Day, of course, Glitter, Dia, Tiff, and now Graceful joining us on the desk to go over everything that's happened so far after 3. Let's take a look at the final circle. Graceful, I want you to talk to me, especially with the chance to hear your pro perspective. How is this working so well for Optic in general, and how have they managed this final circle win?
So the final circle here is actually pulling towards Optic. That means that they don't have to move. They're just holding everybody out, and the biggest thing is that Realize is making the play on FaZe because they know that if they just leave it up to the zone, it's gonna be RNG. It's literally whoever Optic shoots, the other team lives and gets second guaranteed. So instead of going for that, they decide to int FaZe or send it essentially, and Optic just holding angle to see they're going left, triple swinging left, they're not there, go right, triple swinging right, they're not there. Oh, I see them in the water, just make sure that they don't push us so we can secure our dub. And Optic has been looking so strong because not only are they good at fighting and macro-wise, but fighting prowess, they're so good at closing games. Like we've seen, they closed 2 games today. And if they can keep up this form, it's not gonna be a long series.
And importantly, after Optic take the first pick on Realize, they put Realize in a position where their best bet is to set FaZe on the low ground. It's a mitigation of RNG by making sure that you control what your opponent's best decision is. That's what really stood out to me in this endgame circle about how Optic and then subsequently Realize had to play it.
Thank you both so much for that in-depth information and our halftime analysis presented by PlayStation Tournaments. I want to now get into what is the story in terms of points. Lauren, I'm looking at you because I think that obviously we have seen two teams that we've talked about a lot. One of the teams you picked jump up into the series results, and I want to bring them to your attention right now as we head to see them on the screen. Optic Gaming, obviously a huge win, but in the first couple of games, we saw Dreamfire pop off as well.
Not only that, but the reason Dreamfire is not on this first page of these match 3 results right now is because of what Optic Gaming did in the very beginning. They saw that Dreamfire was getting close to that 50-point threshold and knew that they also were in a really strong spot to potentially third-party the 50-50 that Dreamfire was already dealing with. And that play, the decision to be that aggressive this early on, paid off for Optic, not only in the case of putting them on match point now, but as we take a look at the second page, you'll see just how far down the list Dreamfire is, keeping them off of match point, opening up a huge opportunity for Optic.
And sometimes that is just that little wiggle room you need, that extra game that you're on match point, someone else isn't, knowing there's no way the tournament's over, we have a chance to win. It kind of takes a little bit of what could be a very difficult now race to the finish if Dreamfire had joined them. But as you see, a notable name there, TSM, Ascend. Obviously Dreamfire not having good game 3s. They'll have a chance to shift that up and possibly join Optic Gaming on match point next time around. Tiff, what are your eyes telling you here? FaZe also performing well. Blackcan coming in as the points leaders. Solid, but nothing as impressive as yesterday. I've also noticed all the fights the Dojo have been getting into and winning, which is a great sign for our LCQ team with its Timmy being the featured star of that, really to maybe make a statement like we thought could be possible.
Yeah, they're incredibly difficult right now to fight if you're any other team running into them, especially with being on Storm Point, them landing in North Pad, and TSM at the wall, immediately challenging them off drop is preventing a lot of our heavy-hitting teams to be able to accumulate the points that they need to get under the threshold. But let's not forget, we did have someone hit match point within 3 matches last time, and they still didn't hoist the trophy at the end of the day. So yes, Optic has won 2 of the 3 matches thus far, but now that they've hit the threshold, can they close it out?
That's really the question. Sometimes we've seen, and this is in split playoffs, for those who don't know all of their ALGS history, teams like Ascend actually, and even Alliance, find their ways to winning games when match point began at match 2 or match 3, and it didn't end until 11. So these victories can still happen. All of these teams are still in because it just takes one mistake, one bullet to change the course and allow another team to now not only have the opportunity taken away from them, but now to join the other team and be able to go ahead and raise the trophy. Optic Gaming, though, 3 games played. It is a phenomenal performance so far from them. Glitter, again, I didn't really tee up Optic specifically. You talked more Dreamfire. But could this be the resurgence of Optic? I mean, really the team that we expected to do this maybe a few splits ago, and then we had our doubts and we kind of stopped talking about them as much. Is this maybe a moment for one of the biggest organizations in esports?
I feel like that's the case with a few of these teams, right? We've had these very high expectations for them, and whether it is the way the meta's playing out, whether it's just the regions that are in the lobby, sometimes they aren't finding their footing. Right now, Optic feels like they're continuing to find their form that we saw out of them yesterday, carrying it on into today, and now they're in the spot that everybody wants to be in, because even if they fail in this match, it's not putting them on the back foot. They can kind of do whatever they want, and if that includes going after Dreamfire yet again, keeping them off of that match point, I'd be afraid.
Well, one of the cool things about this is as we've played over these 4 weeks, we've obviously highlighted players who have stood out in our Monster Energy MVPs. Today, you have a chance to get involved and choose who you think represents the ALGS Year 3 MVP here at the championship. All you've got to do is in Twitch chat, use the hashtag, then finish it with the player's name. You'll see pages here as we pass through some of our players. If you have any questions on how to spell it, there it is right there. Your votes will be tallied alongside the votes of some of the talent, and we will have a special interview with them in just a moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I know a lot of you have tweeted about it, you've talked about it, you've waited patiently because there is a content piece that tends to get a lot of conversation around it. We take a look at some of the more notable personalities and them clashing against each other. This time, though, we wanted to expand the personalities that we talked to. For whatever reason, it's led to a very interesting result showing this piece today. But what does it mean? Well, at least you'll get a chance to see what goes behind the scenes in some of the most competitive people and 2 of the only IGLs in this 4-LAN journey who have ever lifted a trophy. Let's take a look at Hal and Sweet.
What happened?
Yeah, they cut my budget.
I can tell.
Yeah, we couldn't deal with the sweet salary.
You got paid?
It's not about the details, Hal. Listen, I think this is your problem too, okay?
Oh.
You should have been funnier when we... Wait, hey.
Joe.
You, come here.
Oh, okay.
You busy?
No, not really.
Okay. I think we can work with this. All right, you guys ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
What are you waiting for? Let's go. Go! 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 Oh, baby. Come on, man.
I'm trying.
Oh. Let's go. Go! I'm not sure what that decided for us at all, but I do have a question. You gonna choke again? Because you kind of choked.
Where's your jersey at?
Also, do you want to know who won the race?
Yeah.
Back to the show. When they said they cut my budget, I didn't realize I couldn't pay for Sweet to be in that either. I mean, outside, come on, guys. Obviously, the ALGS, we have so much fun with that one. And taking a look at Hal. And Zero, probably the most realistic part of that is that Zero is not here. Dark Zero did not make it, so we will have a new champion. Hal, obviously, still a chance to become a champion in year 3. We'll see how that unfolds, but Glitter, always fun to see our IGLs competing.
I mean, apparently you cut the budget for Zero shoes in the race too. Why
He took those off, by the way. Is that an
barefoot?
Australian thing, just running without shoes? He was committed to that.
They played without shoes, they run without shoes. I don't know, maybe they need to keep the shoes on, I guess.
Okay, well, guess what? That was pretty fun, and I'm excited to announce something that's even more fun. That's right, the ALGS, we have had an incredible run to get to this moment. Year 3 is ending today, but that means that another year is coming forward. We will have the ALGS in year 4. We will return this fall, so stay tuned for all the details. We'll announce those in the couple of weeks upcoming after this tournament and everyone gets settled back. But follow Play Apex Esports for all of those updates. Exciting, guys, that we get to do this again. I cannot wait, but of course, when we go into year 4, we will have a new champion defending their title. All of that coming up and more as we get back to the games. We're gonna go on a quick break here in Birmingham at the Resorts World Arena, but when we come back, can Optic close it out, or will someone else join them on match point? Stay tuned. Herman Miller, the official chair of the Apex Legends Global Series. WD Black, the official storage partner of the Apex Legends Global Series.
Welcome back, everybody, to the ALGS Global Series. Feeling like a global series right now with so much international talent on our stage. match point has been hit. Optic Gaming, the first team to put 50 points on the board. The question is, will they be able to close it out in record time here, or will someone else try and stop them?
Question for me is, where do Optic land? They're a little bit controversial. We see them competing in the mill with the likes of Pioneers and Dreamfire. Did now Pioneers and Dreamfire work together to shut down Optic Gaming? I saw even in the chat TSM said, well, maybe we'll drop it down, Beast, if you're not going to go there. This is going to be a big indication of what's going to go down in match number 4, just purely off of drop spots here.
What an insane start to the day, though, right? Optic Gaming, so many people expecting them at some point to come good, but then it was the conversation of, are they ever going to come good again? Is it going to be a case of we're waiting for Optic to become the beast that they once were? Well, now we're seeing it, and the scariest thing for me, Dan, from their performance so far is not just that they've hit match point so quickly, it's a win on both Storm Point and World's Edge.
Yeah, they've been able to be consistent across both maps, and at the moment on Storm Point, they have around a 40% conversion rate from top 5s. So if we do see Optic Gaming get into that final circle, then I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of worried faces around these player moves as we're going into the dropship. It's match number 4, and what could be the final game here if Optic can find a victory.
Well, I'm sure the likes of Dreamfire, FaZe, Black Hat, Pioneers, the closest challengers to Optic Gaming, who might be able to keep this thing going if they can take them out, would like to see this game continue for just a little bit longer. Optic Gaming, like we mentioned, the only team who can win it here right now. The chasing pack, Dreamfire, 43 points for them. They are the next challengers. They need 7 to join Optic.
Where do Optic go? Is it to Down Beast, their usual home? Or do they still have a little bit of a journey over towards the mill? Remember, mill is Dreamfire versus KCP as the expected fight, but Optic decided to get involved, but no Optic Gaming this time. It's straight up Dreamfire versus KCP.
It's Dreamfire versus KCP, but I saw someone picking up a purple armor on the side of KCP, and Dreamfire, who are the team they're chasing Optic, who are closest to them at the moment, already find themselves at a disadvantage.
And this is a massive fight for Pioneers. If they want to be one of those ones of the chasing pack to try and catch up and get close to match point, not only can they elevate themselves, but you shut down one of your main competitors.
But how great is this for Optic as well, right? This is going to be Dreamfire potentially eliminated, and by doing so, Optic don't have to worry about their nearest challenger maybe joining them here.
So Pioneers, they are hunting down the remaining players of Dreamfire. 2 of them have fallen already, and it looks like Dreamfire's chances of getting onto match point are slowly slipping away here in match number 4. And you're quite right on set, because that just gives Optic a nice little cushion here, knowing that even if they weren't to get it now in match 4, it's still unlikely that anyone would join them on match point with how far they are ahead of everyone else.
Well, quick look at NRG now. Checkpoint is where they find themselves. Landing, of course, and it's going to be pretty close to where the zone is going. And for Optic Gaming, wow, what a start. Dreamfire eliminated, but the zone is going towards North Pad as well. They have fantastic priority to this zone.
Well, NRG stole a trident from someone else's POI and said, we'll have that, thank you very much. And it means they can have a quick old journey towards North Pad. But you are right, I mean, Optic now with one of the priority positions, they had a ring console at Down Beast. They can move on that northeast side very quickly. Now, NRG, Optic, they're all racing.
There's a race going down.
This is just going to be a situation where, are you going to beat them to the punch here? I think NRG got over that finish line first, and Optic Gaming now have to reposition.
And a little bit of Formula 1 going down there on the main stage. Optic Gaming just getting kind of pipped to the post there by NRG, who had their foot on the accelerator for a little bit longer, but this spot that Optic have found is still extremely playable for now. But it looks like they want to try and get a little bit deeper into zone. This is looking like a zone which is going to pull right to the back of North Pad around some of those dock areas. So NRG, who got there first, well, Optic, they're trying to weave their way through the traffic now.
So Optic need to go under the radar a little bit here. You want to try and be as less visible as possible, get to that late game, give yourself the best opportunity. Now, luckily for them, is they can blend in. Their composition is very similar to the majority of the lobby right now. There's nothing that gives them away. They're not playing any sort of legend that would be able to indicate that they could be a different squad, that maybe some other teams could try and target them. But they are going to be right at the heart of the action of North Pad, and it's going to get very busy the more teams that start to arrive. Now, we saw that Dreamfire are still alive. They are the next team closest to match point. After that, we have FaZe on 35. Now, FaZe, consistent across the first few maps. If they can find the same kind of points, then maybe they can be the next team to find match point.
There is your map overhead. That's where the teams are stacked up for now. That's where the zone is going to be going. That's where we will be for our end game. Question I think going through everyone's head right now is this the end of the games today? Will Optic be able to close out? They're in a fantastic position here, Dan. The one worry for me with them is when that zone starts to close and the teams move from the north pad building in towards where they are they going to be able to survive through all of that carnage?
It is their freebie of a game though. When you're the only team that's on match point, it does take a little bit of pressure off in a way. But everyone else in the lobby is going to be keeping a keen eye on that kill feed, hoping that Optic Gaming fall. Because otherwise you might find yourself in a 3v3, 2 teams remaining, and you are the only team that can keep this thing alive. But everyone's made their journey over towards North Pad. A few teams holding the fingers, so TSM's going to be on one of them, NRG on the other, and then Optic holding the middle finger, as it were. And I'm sure the rest of the lobby don't really like to see it. As Dojo, they're going to hold the high ground, and they'll be more than happy.
Dojo will have the height and able to influence a lot of fights from there. But Optic, the one probably concern for them at the moment is where does the damage come from? Because they can't really show and peek too much. White armors, blue armors. Is that going to be enough to survive for that endgame? Elsewhere at Down Beast, you can see that Pioneers, they've started to rotate the backside of Down Beast. But closing in on them was E6.
We did get a chance to speak to Nasky just before the tournament. He was a bit concerned that they were going to be contested at both maps. And he said, we're not going to win the thing because we're being contested, but they're in 4th place at the moment. And if you don't think you can win, you better believe you've got to get some points on the board so you can find yourself into those top 3, those top 5 positions, because prize money's still insane if you are in that top half. Of course, $2 million on the line here at Championship Sunday of the ALGS.
Well, Pulverex down to a duo, but we saw what they could do yesterday. We know what they can do, full stop. There's only 2 players. Moist Esports in 10th position overall at the moment. 15 points to work with so far. Quite a long way off of match point, you would have to say. But trying to control one of these trenches as well as that donut you can see to your left. And if they can get a little sniff that Pulverex are down to a 2, then they might try and take this fight. Elsewhere we mentioned KCP versus E6. They did get that first knock, KCP, and now they're looking for the rest.
You just need to make sure that Dell doesn't go down here. Protect him with your life as they can rain down from above. The car just missing a few bullets, but I tell you what, as long as they can get a shield swap available here, then Pioneers should be very comfortable in this engagement, and E6 are just going to have to try and scatter away now, try and survive and try and salvage something, but it's not going to happen. Element 6 eliminated, and Pioneers continue on their journey to try and get closer to match point.
I mean, there's 5 KP already for Pioneers. They get the contest, they pick up 2 there. They've just managed to wipe E6 as well, so slowly but surely starting to accumulate a few points in our match number 4. Elsewhere, you can see in the trenches, these are going to be hotly contested. Such a tough zone to play here for so many teams because you just don't have line of sight to level up Evo shields, to make plays because teams are going to be rotating in late, taking that height from above you. You've got to kind of, it's a difficult situation. You want to show presence, but you also know that if you show too much and you swing one of those corners for a second, you could get beamed.
We get a little glance there at the last remaining player of Dreamfire, still alive. But it's Ironblood Gaming and LG Chivas both at the mill. For Dreamfire, it's just a matter of trying to get to that end game and trying to get a couple of points on the board to edge you closer to match point. The likelihood of them getting onto match point is very slim now. Both banners gone, you would need 7 points, so you need 3rd position with no kills. I mean, I've seen crazy things happen, but it would have to be the best rat performance of his life.
Well, now you're seeing LG take damage. Janyaho's already down. This fight breaking out on the edge of zone. Cat will go down just to try and stall the fight for a little bit of time. Are they going to be able to get the time to stick this res though? Jaguares is going to go for it, and it looks like he should be able to get it, although all of a sudden some off angles are being taken, and LG find themselves in a little bit of a pinch.
And in the distance, Pioneers are starting to have a little sniff towards this one as well. They said, who's at our drop spot? Who's at mill? Can we pick up some KP here? They recognize they do not have priority to zone at the moment. They are not going to get one of the best positions on the map. So instead, let's try and get some KP on the board is what they're thinking. They can hear the gunfire still going down, and now they have eyes on it.
Ironblood Gaming are eliminated. It's LG who come out on top of that fight, but here come Pioneers now. And a well-placed frag grenade here from Dell. Might allow them just to move in and get some more KP. There's one. LG down to just a solo player now. Surely this is just going to be more KP. Nasky trying to finish it off with a little bit of flair here. He's got the digi threat that he can use through the smoke if he needed to. But that might change something. Jaguar is trying to hold on for his team. One still alive here, and it looks like LG have actually managed to get back up.
Yeah, LG have done really well to keep Pioneers at bay, and now the zone is coming in and will play a part in this fight. Galantine just need to be communicating here and taking the right angle. If they play this correctly, they should be able to win this engagement.
I mean, Yanya, last player alive here for LG, has to try and send it. 134 through the air is pretty good, but not good enough. LG Chivas will be eliminated. While all this was going on, by the way, Dreamfire, Peter, inside of zone, and keeping the dream alive.
It's just a matter of crafting as much meds that are humanly possible here for Peter and Dreamfire. And it is a case of if you can get up to about 45, I'd say, and the game does carry on, we go to match number 5, Dreamfire maybe will be feeling comfortable because it will be World's Edge again. They won't have to worry about the potential contest.
Well, back to where the zone is going to be going, North Pad, and look how busy it's already starting to become. And this is how important that rotate was for Optic Gaming. This is an almost inaccessible zone to teams who arrive late. You would say there's maybe 5 or 6 priority positions at the base of those fingers. If you don't have one, the game plan isn't about winning the game. It's about KP and trying to force your way into that final fight. Optic Gaming set up at the moment underneath the bridge. Let's hear what the comms are like.
I'm 22 off. You can shoot between the boxes. Yeah, stack them with fuse.
Yeah, I'm going, so I'm just gonna walk back here.
Yeah, zone shift, we're chilling.
They certainly don't sound too flustered at the moment, and why would they be? Trying to keep a low profile, not just in the listening, but in the lobby as well. Here come FaZe though, Pioneers on the edge of zone as well, when we might see them knock into each other.
So Pioneers, yeah, just taking a look over towards FaZe, a couple of shots with the Hemlock. Dreamfire still alive and will be behind this fight. But that's just going to be a rat story, a rat journey, where Dreamfire hope to pick up 1 to get closer to MP. For Pioneers, I mean, they're 22 off. If they can get into this final circle, they've already got some KP. It's still achievable for them here, as long as Optic, of course, don't win. But with how everyone's been scoring on average at the moment, it could be a situation where even if Optic don't find a victory, we go into the next match, and they are yet again the only team to be on match point. And the main reason being, their closest competitors, Dreamfire, have had that contest over towards Mill. That's why it would be so important that we go back over to World's Edge.
Uh-oh, Peter might have just dropped into a little bit of a trap here. Or maybe. Just maybe. Pioneers haven't quite sniffed him out.
The dream is still alive as Pioneers move back over to Checkpoint, and they're going to go through the southern choke of Checkpoint, which I hate this rotation, and I'm sure they hate it as well, because you're going to be forced now into almost a tunnel of teams that are all going to have eyes on you as you arrive. So either they have an evac tower and hope to try and get up and above people, or you have to go in all guns blazing here if you're the Pioneers.
Optic Gaming will be safe for that next zone, so will NRG. Both of them wanted to play that spot early on. We saw that trident race between the two teams. FaZe safe as well, and everybody's starting to just work their way towards zone now. Moist Esports and MDY White on that eastern side of zone, you're going to see they're going to have to force their way in, and Alliance are ready to make a play as well. They are creeping over towards the position of TSM.
I mean, Pioneers, MDY White, SAF, Moist, they're all going to be meeting each other. You can see the Pioneers are down and will be over towards now the trenches, but there are teams waiting for them. This is going to be a tough old road for them now.
Well, the good thing here for Pioneers, not only do they have KP, but they've leveled up those Evo shields as well, so if they do force a fight, they're going to be in a pretty good position to do it, and also full of confidence, having come off the back of winning that contest, winning that fight against LG. But it looks like they've managed to kind of thread the needle momentarily here. Same can't be said for Moist. They have to jump back into these trenches of retreat.
Yeah, Pioneers did so well to avoid the attention of so many teams. Peter's still alive as well, crawling on in, but now gets spotted. Up into the skies, but does not survive. Dreamfire eliminated. They'll have to wait for match number 5, if it even comes, as MDY White now using all utility to try and keep people at bay here at trenches.
Well, they have to force their way forward. They're throwing everything at this. They have no option. And now with just one player alive, there was no chance they could force their way through. Moist Esports, who win that fight and will stay alive. But here, as I say, comes the third party, and who is it? It's Pioneers who are moving in.
Pioneers moving in. Oxygen and Alliance also scrapping at the same time as Oxygen have been able to get the opener here. No, they haven't, okay. Alliance back on their feet. I thought they were 2, but now they are a full 3 as MT has fallen to Zane. So all of these scraps happening in trenches.
And this is all on the eastern side of zone. Moist Esports have fallen. As Oxygen, with the Digi-Threat most importantly, which has been a game-winning piece of equipment to find on the floor. That attachment with those smokes and the amount of Bangalores allows you to do stuff like this. Vayne says, give me the Digi. Give me the option to shoot these players and I will make it count.
You can see the piercing spikes that are down are making things so difficult and even worse for Vayne. He's only got 10 bullets, so he says, you know what, let's full send it. It has to be now. Hemlock from the back pocket, 2 teammates still alive, and we will see Alliance fall. 13 squads left, and Oxygen, it was the perfectly timed push.
Oxygen survive. The zone will not be closing behind them for a few more seconds, so they'll be able to reset, get those shields charged back up, and ready for the next fight. Elsewhere, the other side of the zone, you have FaZe poking at Ascend. Realize also, very close in the vicinity here, so if a fight breaks out and it isn't quick, you know that third party's coming in.
Very close to match point as well, if they do find themselves in that final circle. Good shots though with the 30-30. Evac tower dropping down 2. It's whether they actually go for this. This could be a risk from FaZe.
Pioneers eliminated in the meantime. Their run will stop here in this lobby. Sweet lining something up here, but not quite able to connect. Bocek is a little bit of a problem for him here as he's having his shields chipped away, but the longbow in this kind of position, Dan, just to hold teams back, just to harass them, is almost a perfect weapon.
I mean, NRG are in one of the best spots. FaZe, as they arrive, are going to be taking a lot of damage, but on the other side, Imperial Howl has just fallen as well. It's TSM taking this fight alongside FaZe.
And while all these fights are going down, this is great news for Optic, the team who's on match point, but here come TSM. FaZe eliminated, Verhost will stand strong. Oxygen also fall in the meantime. Can TSM get this reset?
As long as Dojo don't dive on them here, as long as Optic don't dive on them, which they won't because Optic will want to hold this position, TSM should be fine as Optic continue just to skirt around the edges here. It's NRG, it's Optic. They're the 2 squads who are in prime position at the moment, but on this eastern side, it's going to be absolute carnage.
Drop just got ripped out of the sky, and it's the Dojo now who have fallen off of that main building, that ultimate high ground, who are causing Optic a problem. Noct has to retreat. Pop that shield battery, but somehow all of Optic still on their feet, or knees.
Well, Optic have been doing well at occasionally just poking, prodding, getting those Evo shields up ever so slightly. As you can see now, Aimbot getting involved as realized they're taking the fight.
This is the fight inside of the main building of Northpad. This is where all the teams have to filter through. It's an ugly looking choke point and only one team is going to come out of it. But if you do that, you're going to have a lot of KP and certainly some red Evo shields.
I mean, Blackhand, SAF, Realize, Enter, Force 36, Pulverex, they are all in that building alongside one another. And as the ring closes, it's a matter of run and gun. It's try and survive and try and get kills at the same time, and then if you are the last remaining player, hope you can rat out and get those extra placement points, because now we're into the top 10. Placement points start to increase tenfold. Every single placement that you go up, you're going to be in a far more comfortable position once you reach top 8, then top 6, top 5, and onward. These could be the differences to you finding match point later on in this tournament.
Here comes the zone, and here comes the play. From every single team that's left in that lobby, 10 squads still remain here. Realize, trying to fight on edge of zone. Campu doing what he can. The zone is burning, it is singeing at its back though, but a few KP here certainly would help. Can't quite connect. Enter Force 36 fall. Pulverex fall. Realize will also fall and start a fight down to 1. Blackhand will take them out, and it looks like Blackhand are the winners of that fight.
And just like that, we're down to 6, but Blackhand also struggling with the ring. But Optic are still holding strong, but now they have noisy neighbors, and this is when you need to be hitting your shots.
Well, Optic have made the play. They think they can win this game. TSM, they've been eliminated in the meantime. The Dojo eliminated. Top 4 and Optic are still here.
Optic still alive. NRG still alive. 3 squads remain. It's Ascend, it's NRG, it's Optic, and now it's just 2.
Optic Gaming might be about to break records. 2 squads remaining. It's NRG versus Optic.
Everyone in the arena has just become an NRG fan as they want this tournament to continue.
Prowler for Nathan. Could that be the difference maker? Sweet has to retreat. Does he have a shield swap? No, he doesn't. Sweet goes down. Noct gets the first kill for Optic. Dropped. tries to move in to clean up the pieces. Optic will fall! NRG clutch! And Optic Gaming, who are on the precipice of becoming your champions, will have to wait a little longer. NRG with the clutchest 2v3 you will ever see.
NRG keep things going here in Birmingham as the crowd erupts. I have never heard a louder chant for any team because every single supporter here wants to see more Apex action. And NRG with their backs against the wall, with it all to do, clutching up when they needed to. But it is still not enough for NRG to reach match point. It is still only Optic Gaming who find themselves there. But was that the game? It was at Northpad. It was right where they dropped. They had center zone. They got into the final fight, but could not convert it. Unbelievable match 4. But you know what that means? We go again.
We go again, everybody. More Apex Legends coming your way. This final's not over yet. Thanks to those three gentlemen you can see on your screen right now. NRG. Clutch it for everybody in the building but the Optic fans, you have to say.
And what it does mean is we're going back over to World's Edge. Now, this is good news for everyone else in the lobby. Optic have been far better at Storm Point than they have at World's Edge. I was talking to you about those conversion rates, those top 10s, those top 5s. We've only seen Optic win once on World's Edge. And that might mean there is